Hello guys, and welcome back. Been on a little bit of a model railroad hiatus here lately. I've been really busy here around the house and stuff, so really haven't had a chance to work on my railroad in about a week. But I actually got all my cork road bed installed, and I'll show that to you in another video. But what I wanted to talk to you about today is just kind of an introduction to block selection, what a power block is. For those of you guys who already know all this, you might want to just skip the next couple of videos. But for those of you who are new to this and would like to learn how to, wire up your layout in such a way that you can run multiple engines in multiple directions, then I encourage you to stay tuned and watch these videos. So yeah, this first video is just going to be at a real high level, and all it's really going to do is just kind of explain what a block is, and why do we need a block, and really just the first example of a generic kind of a run-of-the-mill stereotypical design here of how this could actually be two different blocks. And so let's jump right in here. So what we'll do is we'll call the loop here the main line, and I don't know, we'll just call this a branch line here. Like I said, this is your stereotypical layout that you might do with, when you go to the store and buy yourself a model train set. And, they might furnish you with two turnouts, and, you might lay it out this way. And, 20 years ago, this is how my layout actually started, and it just kind of evolved from there. So, you can do a lot with something like this, but this is a good example of a good place to start, a good benchmark, if you will. So what I've got here is I've got my auto pulse twin momentum dual cab controller. So as you can see, we've got two cabs here, basically two separate power supplies. So you could hook up multiple power supplies. You've seen the little power supplies where it's just the one pod dial, the differential level, power level, one knob only. You could use multiple power supplies like that. I like having it all together, and what this will enable me to do is to run two different trains independent of each other and in multiple directions. And what I mean by that is that, say train A is running off of cab 1, I could run it forward or backwards. Train B is running off of cab 2, I could run it forwards or backwards. Now, on two different parts of track, mind you. And that's where the concept of a block comes in. That you could run more than two trains. Say you're running trains A and B on cab 1, where they're going to run at the same speed and they're going to run in the same direction, even though they might be on two different parts of the track. The same thing with two. I mean, you could run multiple locomotives, but you won't have the locomotives that are running off of the same cab. Again, will be running with the same speed, same momentum, same direction. So what I want to do here is I'm going to spin the power supply around. So as you can see, I've got my variable DC connection here, 0 to 15 volts for cab 1, and the same thing for cab 2. So obviously this is just where your red and your black wires plug in, your positive and your negative wires, if you will. And so at the very heart of a block, back to our diagram here, So back to our diagram here. If our main is running off of, say, block 1, this is block 1 here. All this is running around. This is block 1. Make sure it's out of the way. Good there. All this is block 1. So this right here is going to be block 2. We'll call the branch here block 2. Okay. And so with this auto pulse setup I have here, blocks 1 and 2, we could come in and we could run from cab 1, we could run a positive up here, connect to one rail, and then we could run the negative and connect to the other rail. Looks like my black's about out. And so that would supply the whole track with power, because obviously our turnouts are wired in such a way when the point rail makes connection with the stock rail, the power continues on through that rail. So we can talk about that a little later actually. But so you would have power for the whole track. So let's just say the outside rail is wired to positive. And let's say the inside rail is negative. We switch pins here. Let's go to blue for negative. How about that? So the inside rail is negative, or a lot of people refer to it as the common rail, right? So this right here would be the positive rail, and this right here would be the negative rail, or the common rail. So again, just kind of quickly back to the switch, the point rails here establish that connection between what would be the positive rail and the negative rail, or the common rail. So in this particular example, whenever the switch is thrown on the turnout, we then have something like that. So that works great if you're running one locomotive. But say you want to run, train A, we'll draw a little train here. It's a diesel because it's square. Anyway, we're running train A on the main line here. Okay, we want to run train B on, say, the branch here. Okay, and we want them to run independent of each other. Now, how would we do that? Well, it's actually super simple, and the key to your blocks is these little insulated rail joiners here. And I don't know if you can see those in the camera or not, but it's just a plastic one of these, and it doesn't allow any electricity to flow through it. So what you have is, if we came in here and we put, I don't know if that yellow will show up in Google. How about purple? If we came in and we put, an insulated rail joiner here and here, and the same thing over here, at the end of our turnouts here, we have done isolated this section of track from this section. So no matter how much power you give the main line, this section of track is not going to receive any power because it's insulated. It's isolated from the rest of the track. You've created a block at that point. So you now have block 1 and you have block 2. Okay, so with like the dual cab here, you know, I could run train A, you know, with cab 1, and I could run train B with cab 2. So how would train B get power? Well, we'll just come off with the power connection off the back of cab 2, and we'll run power up to those rails. Just like that. And that it's really just that simple. Now it gets a little bit more harder to figure out as you have multiple turnouts going multiple ways, and you're wanting to create you know, multiple blocks. And like for the layout that I've got for phase 1 on Alvaville, it's actually 15 blocks, 15 isolated sections of track. So there's going to be, you know, it's a little bit more involved in this, but the concept is still the same. And so when we get to the point where I actually start wiring stuff up, you know, wiring up the bus and all that, wiring up the different various block selectors, which are, that's really easy to do as well. You're basically just using an on, off, on selector, like a toggle switch selector, like it could be a single pole really, but like a double pole, double throw, where, you know, one position is on, middle position is off, and then pushing it down would be on. You can select between cab 1 and 2 with that toggle switch. And I'll definitely get more in detail on that, how to wire that up. Again, this is all just high level. As far as reversing the polarity of the current flowing through the track, we're going to wire up slide switches. So if you want to reverse, you know, say, you know, locomotive B, it's going this way, but you want it to back up, then you would just, you know, like I said, I'm using slide switches. You would just, you know, push that slide switch, and it would reverse the polarity in the track, and then, you know, your engine would go the opposite way, your locomotive would go the opposite way. So again, guys, it's just that simple. It's not very complicated. And so like I said, with my layout, I'm going DC, I'm not going DCC. And so I want to be able to just to share, I wanted to be able just to share this with you guys, and hopefully this is making sense. If it's not, you know, drop me some comments on the YouTube video page, and just, you know, if you have any questions, you know, feel free to ask, and I'll try to answer them if I can. So that's it for now. I think I mentioned in an earlier video, I'm going to modify these turnouts, and I think I am going to go ahead and wire these up to where they're a little bit more robust as far as getting dirty or getting scenery product or glue or ballast or whatever, because right now they're really like the closure rails here. You know, these rails here, they're just relying on this connection here, this hinge point here between the point rails. So if this connection here ever fails, or it gets dirty in here, then these closure rails here, they're not going to have power. So I think I may create some jumpers just to go across like that, and then maybe across here. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. I don't know if I really want to go that far with it. I might still, verdict's still out on that. But anyway, so guys, that's it in a nutshell, and I will be back with another video.